want to thank you for coming out, coming on time. We've been told that we definitely have to be out of here by 9. We're going to ask people to shut your cell phones because sound does carry. We're going to ask you to try to be quiet. I want to thank you again for coming out. This is MTOPP, the Movement to Protect People. We're a community-based organization that actually came about from the 626 Flatbush event. The purpose is a community-based organization created to stop the systematic removal of a whole group of working-class families in Brooklyn by luxury developers, and to help preserve and maintain the communities that have been created by these Brooklyn residents. I had to put that reminder down there for myself. There's a letter that's going around. If you could please sign it. It's a letter to the mayor asking him to start to do the other part of his plan, which is preserve affordable communities. And also there's a petition that we will explain a little bit later on. It is a petition to ask for an investigation of Community Board 9 and the way that this whole process happened and why we are at this point struggling to undo what was done. And again, that will be explained. Right now, I just want to welcome a person that I've known for a long time, but I was just a young woman when I met you. And my sister... This was an activist at my sister's church. And when I first started this thing, I said, wait a minute, I have to go to my sister's church because that is the church of activism. And they said, well, you need to be talking to the man, Charles Barron. And really a lot of the strategies that I came up with, people were like, how does she know? Right here. Right here. This was my think tank. I went to him and said, Charles, we got this issue, we got the 626 Flatbush going on. Tell me what to do. He said, okay. And he gave me a list, and I've been doing all of that, and it's been very successful, and I want to thank you so much. But he doesn't need any more introduction. You guys know him, Charles Barron.
Give her a big hand clap. I want to thank her. Hours that we spent on the phone and to actually see somebody take it and do something with it and not just talk. So I applaud them for that. So I talk fast because I got to run. They're having a big county meeting tonight. You know how they pick judges and all of that stuff. So I got to go get beat up and vote against everybody. So if you see me with any bruises tomorrow morning, it's because I didn't vote for the county leader and all of that stuff. But the question that for us in the black community, the new Jim Crowism is housing policy. And that's how they've driven us out, working class families, changing the character of communities by going up, because they don't have any more room to go any other way. So if they get a little piece of your property, they're going to shoot up as high as they can, and they're going to make it luxury housing, not affordable housing. Even when HPT tries to define affordability, they say 80% of the AMI, the area median income. And if y'all know the area median income of New York City is about $84,000 for a family of 4. So if you do 80% of that, then you're talking about $60,000, $64,000. In communities like my East New York and Bed-Stuy and Brownsville and your community here, you're talking $32,000. Family of 4 in my East New York, $35,000, and Bed-Stuy, $39,000 here. The South Bronx is $19,000. $19,000. Those are Egypt poverty numbers, that causes revolutions. So this is what the mayor's talking about. Low income. See, when they do this, they can do all of this stuff all they want. The question is this. This is what determines the affordability, the AMI, the area median income of the neighborhood. I have developers coming into me in East New York, and sometimes they sit with me and they say, Mr. Barron, we got a wonderful project coming in, and guess what? Jobs, and affordable housing. And they take out their colorful pictures, and they, put on this stuff, and models, I said, put them away. What's the AMI? 5 minutes. You're going to give me a few minutes. So I was going to say, don't tell me 5 minutes. I just started. Just get warmed up. Congratulations on graduating. Take me 5 minutes just to say my name.
I don't get you 5.
Okay. But see, they come in, these developers come in and they have all these colorful things and they tell you this, we're struggling communities, so the first thing they're going to say is jobs. This is going to create jobs. And when you have a survival mentality, then that's all you're looking for, jobs. Some people come up and say, I'll vote for you. You're going to give me a job? I don't even know you. What's your resume? What do you do? But see, when you have people on a survival mentality, they can come in with jobs and affordable income, so affordable housing. So I define it. In my East New York, the area median income, pardon me if I just assume people don't know what that means. Most of you do, but let me just say it anyway. They used to do the mean, the average, but it wasn't a true reflection of the income of the community. So we're all sitting here and one of us makes $1 million and the rest of us make $1. Well, that average is going to be pretty high. Even though when you total it up, you have to divide the number of all of you to $1,001, and that would be all of us making $50,000 a year, which would not be accurate. So they went to the median income, meaning that half of the people in the community make this salary, and then the other half make above it. So the median gets to the halfway point. So if you say the median income of East New York, which is $32,000 for a family of 4, that means at least 50% of us are either above or below that. But then if you go right up another notch to 40,000, you may include another 10, 20% of us. So now that's 70% of us at 40,000 or below. And then if you go up to 60 or 80,000, that might be 90% of us, below that. So I make these developers come in with the income band. When they come to me and say that they're building affordable housing, I make them pull out the stuff, and if they tell me it's 80% of the AMI, which would be $64,000 in my East New York, and they tell me that's affordable, then I'll ask the guy, well, affordable to who? And do you know my neighborhood AMI? And if they say no, I kick them out the meeting. I really do. I say, sir, pack up your pretty pictures and leave. Go find out the AMI of my community, and then I know that you will be very serious about bringing in affordable housing. If you don't even do that, we can't even have a conversation. And let me tell you why I can do that. The reason why I ran for the city council, because if these are ULURP-based projects, this is the Uniform Land Use process, if it goes through ULURP, then the city council has the final say. If it's a non-ULURP project, it's a little more challenging. They have to do rezoning, or if they need certain permits and permission to do things, then we have a little less power. But I know that once it's ULURP, we got you. Because I know I sit on the land use committee, or did, and I know when I go to my colleagues, and I tell them that I'm not down with this project, it's not going to get out the land use committee, and that developer has to go packing. That's the power of the city council when it's ULURP. Now, this is what enabled me, and some of you might depart from me at this point, But I say to everybody, because I'm not afraid, I'm anti-capitalist, I'm a socialist. I'm a black power advocate. Let the church say amen.
Make no apologies.
I am a revolutionary. I don't think capitalism will ever work. Never has, never will. And I'm using reformist tactics so we can get to systemic radical change in this nation, because this government is not working for all the people of this nation. It's just not working. I knew I would get 3 hand claps on that. I appreciate the 3 that clapped. And I do this at the risk of not getting votes and all of that, because I can care less. That the reason why I wanted to get into city council, because the bottom line for all of this, you have to have one or two things. You either have to have power or influence. And sometimes we confuse influence with power. If you don't have the power, then you better have the influence over the people who do have the power. And if you don't have either, you're doing nothing. You're going in circles. So you better have one or the other. So I did a lot of demonstrations to make me get into electoral politics. I didn't want this movie theater built on Linden Boulevard. So I'm up there demonstrating in the heat, 200 people, media all over the place, no justice, no peace. And they came with the tractors and everything. I laid on the ground in front of the tractors over my dead body. They waited for me to get up. I stayed there. When I got up, not only did they put another brick up, the next day a whole wall was up. I said, this is not getting it. And when I found out that the councilwoman of that time, Sumner Redstone from Viacom, called up Rudolph Giuliani, the mayor, decided he thought our depressed community needed movies. So he wanted to build a movie theater, the Linden complex, whatever they call it. He wanted to build that on city-owned property. The city council member, the mayor couldn't even give it to him. He had to go to the city council member, and she just was going signing off on it while I was in the street laying in front of tractors. I said, that is the seat I want. And that's the seat I've got. The last step is the city council, and I make them look at the income band of my neighborhood. If I know that 10% of my East New York, 10% of my East New York is making $20,000 or less, then 10% of the homes coming in my district, 10% of the apartments in my district is going to be for $20,000 and less income requirement. If I know that 80% is making $25,000 to $55,000, $60,000, that's 80% of the people in my neighborhood, then 80% of the income requirement for any new development coming in is going to be in that income band.
Right.
And then if there are some that are making 60, 70, only 1% of the community makes $100,000. So if there are some that's making 60, 70, 80, that's less than 5, 10% of my community, then the housing for my community is going to have 10%. That's the income band, not this. This is not the income band for my neighborhood. So I'm happy to say all the black communities in the city, and this is not Charles Barron saying it, the Daily News, who loves me, to death. The Daily News wrote an article that the only increase in the black population of any neighborhood was East New York. We had a 13.2% increase in the black neighborhood. White folk don't get mad at me. We had none of y'all increased. Look at how quiet you I'm scared to talk to white people. See, black people talk behind your back. We had no increase in the white community. Is that because of racist? No. Is that because I have something against white people? No. But I'll be damned if I'm gonna move to church. I'll be doggone. I'm gonna be in the neighborhood that people are sweating in there for all these years, and somebody's gonna come up with some housing policy, and you can't even afford to live in the very neighborhood you grew up in. That's not happening. Southern part of East New York, the southern part of East New York, we have what we call 100% affordability. Where I have to get better at, I must admit, I have to get better for those in my neighborhood that make 60, 70, and 80,000. If they have problems. Mine, I have one unit, there was 164 rental apartments. The AMI was 40 to 60% of the AMI, which is, we're talking about 25. You can get an apartment. Now listen to this. This doesn't happen anywhere in the city. In my East New York, we're building now 264 units with a 4-story boys and girls club to go with it. Because I told them I don't want just houses, not just houses. See, capitalists look at land and see how they can make profit. And they see land, housing. Forget your park, forget your garden, forget a school, forget all of that. They see land, housing, that's where the money is. Ain't no money in the garden. Ain't no money in the youth center. You know, so no, you come in my neighborhood, I want to know what you're going to do with retail, and I want some of them retail business to come from the neighborhood. We fought against Walmart, we beat back Walmart. My people said, John, Walmart, we love you, but Walmart, you know, the prices are low, and we can get jobs. I said, let me tell you something, please, mother, my seniors, mother, please, just hear me out. Walmart is a plantation. Yes. Walmart will hire you part-time, pay $8.53 an hour, and give you a form to fill out the Medicaid, so you can get Medicaid, because they're hiring you part-time, and you won't pay any health benefits, any pension. And then for every 2 Walmart plantation jobs you get, we lose 3. Because when they come in this one-stop shop, everybody else goes out of business. And worse yet, Walmart takes out insurance policies on their workers that they call dead peasants. And they take out the insurance policy, and the beneficiary is Walmart. Walmart. That's your Walmart. And if you're black, Latino, or female, forget moving up the ladder. So people said in my neighborhood, can't stop Walmart. Well, let me tell you something. I ain't crazy about these other places, but Walmart is not in East New York. We got ShopRite, and ShopRite's paying $10 to $12 an hour, unionizing health benefits and pensions. And pensions. We have fought hard in East New York. We have projects that are 100% affordability, 100%. You can come into East New York in that same place where I told you there's 4-story boys and girls club, the 264 housing units, you can get a 3-bedroom, nice, market-looking apartment for $864 a month. 3 bedrooms. We have some places where there's 2 bedrooms for $800, $900 a month. Studio apartments, $500, $600, $700 a month. That's affordability. Yes. The income range, 25,000, 35, 40, 45,000, 55,000. That's affordability. So we don't let no one else define affordability for us. Yeah. That's the southern part of East New York. Now they're going to come into the northern part. You notice East New York has been in the news? The mayor is focusing on East New York. Focusing on East New York. East New York is going to bring this kind of stuff. In the northern part, we only have a small part of my district. It's another council member. We're trying to keep him strong and make sure he doesn't kowtow to them. We're trying to get him to do the same thing as we've done in the southern part. So when we say affordability, we define it. We got the developer know. And you know something else you should always ask developers when they sit with you, how much profit are you making from this project? How much profit? Because before they talk about affordability or anything else, I always ask them, how much is this profit costing? They say, 60 million. Okay, how you getting your money? Where's your money coming from? And they tell me how they have access in their capital. Okay, how much now how much, and so before we finish discussing what the rent and the income requirements are gonna be, did you get your welfare yet? We said, what's welfare? Y'all call it subsidies. When we get free money from the government as welfare, when they get it, it's subsidies. Well, either we all on subsidies or we all on welfare. So I tell them, you know what? If you're talking about this amount for rent, this amount for, because you're saying the house costs this or the project costs that, go get your welfare, let's talk some more. And then when they get their welfare, and they come back, we say, okay, bring it down. So before we talk about that, how much profit are you making off this? So we haven't counted. Yes, you have. How much profit are you making off of this project? And if they tell me 10, 12, 20 million, I said, fine. You know what's going to happen? You can take 50% off that 20 million because it's coming down to 10 million. Because you're not going to maximize your profits at the expense of us not being able to afford to live in the very community that we grew up in and that we built for our children. That's not going to happen. But that takes you to understand how power works. So if you get your city council member, that's a lot of power. And that you're the process when they go to the community board is an advisory board. They don't have the key. I'm not down on community boards, but the reality is that they're advisory boards. So if a project comes before the first part of the ULUP process, if they come before the community board, that's an advisory. Then it goes to the borough board, the president's board. That's also advisory. And the power starts with the city planning commission. When the city planning commission gets it, that's when the power starts. If the city planning commission doesn't approve it, the city council never sees it. If they do approve it, then it's the city council can modify it, approve it, or reject it. The power stops at the city council level in the ULUP process. So I just wanted to share that with you, and rehabilitating existing abandoned buildings. Some of that comes through us, some of it doesn't. Some comes through other agencies. Department of Buildings, they give out permits. City-owned property, most, if not all of that comes through the city council, through the ULUP process, when the city-owned and elected officials. There's a dilemma. And also, when you do affordable housing, a project, it should be in perpetuity, forever, not for the duration of the loan. Because sometimes it'll be affordable for the duration of the loan, which might be 30 years, and then after 30 years, they can shoot it up to market. I learned that later on in the game, so I got a few that's at 50 years, and I got some at 40 and 30, but now I go for in perpetuity, forever, permanently affordable. So don't negotiate and then get some affordability for the expand of the loan, and then after a while you wind up losing that affordability. So I got a, hold on a second, hold up. I got a perpetuity means forever, permanently affordable. Permanently affordable. That's what you want to fight for. So I'm happy to say in my East New York, the reason why the black population increased 13.2%. In Harlem, the black population reduced by 12%, and the white population increased 400%. Worse than the city is Bedford-Stuyvesant. Bedford-Stuyvesant dropped 14.9% in the black community and 600% increase in the white community. Brown Heights is about 11 to 12% drop in the black community, about 200% increase in the white community. When they say gentrification, they're telling you what you're doing. When they say re-gentrification, gentry means elites, upper class. They're telling you we're gentrifying. We're bringing in the elites because they wanted the outskirts, they wanted the suburbs years ago, they wanted the island. Now everything is getting too expensive, the gas and all that. They want to be closer to their businesses and stuff. So they're bringing back in the gentry class. And then what they do in our neighborhood, like in East New York, some groups will come in and all of a sudden it's Spring Creek. Meadowwood. So they get mad at me when I said, well, welcome to Springfield. No, you're in East New York. Springfield, right across the street. What are you talking about? East New York is right there. Springfield or Stuyvesant Heights. That's best side, do or die. You look at not only do they change the character, they change names and all of that stuff, changing the price of everything. I gotta run because I don't want to be late for my meeting, but I want to let you know that we cannot give this city over to the rich. We cannot give this city over to those who want to build luxury houses and skyscrapers, whatever you call them, and change the character of your community, outprice you, change the complexion of your community. If you're pleased with the way your community is, we got to put pressure. I want to encourage you, don't just be activists and complain about public officials that are not serving you. Run for office. Run for office. Every coalition has a political action committee so that you can look at taking these seats and putting in people that you appreciate. Let me say this in my last speech. In East New York, we started in 1997. I ran, didn't quite make it, didn't mean nothing to me. You would have thought I won after the election. I got 4,000 votes and I was happy. I was acting like I won. We did it. They said, did you win? No. I got 4,000 votes. Man, welcome next time. They said, when is next time? 4 years from now. I kept getting up. 2000, and everybody in the world is against me. They call me everything but a child of God. New York Post and Daily News. They call me names that I have to go to the dictionary to find out. And I have a very smart, beautiful wife. Give my wife a hand clap. And she is brilliant, so I said, and then they called me execrable. What does that mean? I thought I was an executive type. I said, no, sweetheart, that means evil. Then I came home one day, I said, the folks called me the odious Charles Barron. I said, are they saying I stink? No, that means you're evil. As long as they don't say I stink, but it doesn't matter what they call me, doesn't matter what they feel about me, doesn't matter what they feel about you, get that power.
Yes.
You get that power, I'm telling you, it makes a big difference. When they come in my office in City Hall, I have the red, black, and green flag. I didn't put in any other flag. I went to Venezuela and Cuba, so I had some heads of, Fidel Castro and Che Guevara, and I went to Venezuela and Hugo Chavez, and I had a big picture of Malcolm X, and I was really, we had a picture of Khalid Muhammad, and the Black Panthers, and all of that. And so when the developers come in, I said, welcome, meet my friends. Be who you are. We don't need anymore. Go along, get along, sell out. Thank you all.
Okay, we have to move this right along. Give him another round of applause. No, we now have, we're going to have to jump past this and go straight to our new district leader. He's our new district leader, and this is the only man in our district, in our community that stood up and said no residential on Empire Boulevard. Another politician. This man begins our poll. He started right at the bottom, district leader. He's our district leader. Okay, you keep in touch with him, you watch him, you ask him to come out and support you. Okay, because this is what we need. We need people like this. Because we have to go up the chain on this.
Okay, hello everyone. Charles is also a district leader. We have to vote tonight for the next Supreme Court judge over at Medgar Evers. That's why he flew out there like this. Charles was like, I gotta go. He's a district leader as well. But I wanted to say this very quickly, that displacement leads to criminal behavior. I was out and I traveled the country in the last 11 years. My brother was Councilman James E. Davis. We built the James E. Davis Stop Violence Foundation after his death. We just pretty much renamed it. Initially it was called Love Yourself, Stop Violence, and I renamed it in his honor. Since that time, I've traveled the country doing speaking engagements, and particularly there's one place called Kirkwood, Missouri. Kirkwood, Missouri had a small town for mayor in 2007 in Kirkwood, Missouri. Within Kirkwood is a town called Meacham Park. Meacham Park was doing development in Meacham Park. High-rise development was going on in Meacham Park within Kirkwood, Missouri. Because of that development, there was a citizen, nice, hard-working young man who had his own business, felt like he was hopeless. He was hopeless, he had nowhere to go. Ultimately, his mind went wrong, went sour, grabbed the gun and killed 6 people inside City Hall. 2 city council members, go back, this is 2007. 2 city council members, 2 police officers, 1 court reporter, and ultimately the mayor died. So we're saying that displacement, this is a very serious subject. Displacement leads to criminalization, a mindset because you feel you have nowhere to go and no hope. Displacement can lead to domestic violence. You become misplaced anger. And where you're arguing with your partner and you're arguing with them, next you know you're fighting and everything because you feel that you have no place to live. You have no home, you have no place to live. We're talking about it changes the environment. It leads to vandalism because you're angry, so you're out there now writing stuff on walls and destroying a community. So we're saying that all this comes from displacement as well as interaction with the police because your mindset is messed up. So now the police intervene. And that particular department, they might not understand you. You're angry because you have no home, you have no place to live. You're interacting with the police, and here goes the police battalion. Similar to Ferguson, Missouri. I just left Ferguson, Missouri 3 or 4 weeks ago. Similar to Ferguson, Missouri. So we're looking at the violence that takes place from displacement. And then the community, it's our responsibility because once this violent behavior begins to come out of a human being, the court system says they forget the initial, what happened. So then they look at that individual and says, you're a violent person. Now looking at the core, what took place? Where's the core? The core came from something. Where how is this hard-working man, this hard-working woman was doing well in their life 6 years ago, 7 years ago. What went wrong? But it's our responsibility as a community that we can stop that type of behavior because we can come together. So we're saying that displacement leads to violent reactions after a while from hard-working citizens. Because one, survival mode kicks in. You don't have any place to live. You don't have any place to go. And you worked hard, you got your education. You did everything that you're supposed to, so now you don't fit that image. He's an educated man. He's a married man. He's a hard-working man. What exactly happened? So we're saying that displacement can lead to other elements that come out of the human being to lash out at something. At your neighbor, at homes, at your wife. So again, in Meacham Park, which is in Kirkwood, Missouri, this hard-working person flipped. And then when you dug a little deeper and said, what happened? He had a demolition company. In his town, in his section, which was a beautiful section within Kirkwood, Missouri, they were doing development. That the community didn't want. He went to City Hall a number of times and nobody was listening. And they're developing in this town. Remember, Kirkwood, Missouri. His name was Charles Cookie Thornton. Just go back, Google. Kirkwood, Missouri. Look at it for yourself. And I traveled to Tucson, Arizona, Aurora, Colorado, Kirkwood, Missouri. These kind of reactions come from development that the community's not involved in, that the community doesn't want. Displacement leads to violent behavior. Just keep that in mind, so when your neighbors suddenly go grab your pocket, because now they lost their job. Because you lost your job, because perhaps you're embarrassed. You're embarrassed. You don't know how to, you can't get yourself together no more. So now you're not getting work on time. A survival mode kicks in as human beings. So now you're robbing, you're vandalizing, and then the racism comes out because you're blaming everybody. Your skin color. It's because of you, your people. So all of this anger begins to come out. So as a community, we have to just to monitor, to protect, to counsel, and look at every aspect of what comes from this luxury, this displacement that comes in our community. And Charles is a genius with the city council, so he broke down that level. I've traveled the country. I still work for the James and David Stop Violence Foundation. That's my organization, that's my life. Addressing violence on a continuous basis, trying to resolve this matter, so it takes looking into situations a little deeper. Why is these children responding this way? Why is these men and women responding this way, like they just don't care? So you got to dig a little deeper, and just don't look at the level of the element of what you see in front of you. Dig a little deeper. And I'm telling you that displacement creates a hectic environment. Again, vandalism, police brutality, domestic violence, it all stems. Unemployment, it all stems. So we have to look at that aspect of it when we fight. So it takes a village. So even in that aspect, we can prevent the fight. Fighting them, we can prevent something 5 years, 8 years down the line of people just losing it. Do you understand? Huh? You can prevent. What time is it? I gotta go work.
Yes.
I'm like this Sean taking a long time. What time is it? What time check? 7:40. All right, 7:40? I gotta go thank you for college. This is my first time. Hello, this is my first time voting for the Supreme Court judge. So I'm like, and let me just say this. Huh?
You gotta be on time.
You gotta be on time. I can put my vote in.
Okay.
Geoffrey Davis. Right, my telephone number is 347. This is my cell phone. I got this from my brother. He taught me a lot. So let the people interact and let the people be able to talk to you. 347-853-9971. The district leader seat is a volunteer seat. It's an elected volunteer seat. So I'm still volunteering, but you have to run off as volunteers now. So it's an elected volunteer seat, but it puts us in a position where we're the liaison between you and the elected. 347. Huh?
Email address.
Email. The letter J, the letter D, 7786 at AOL.com. J. James D. Davis, 7786 at AOL.com. And that's honorable. Is it honorable?
Repeat the number.
Telephone number 347-853-9971. The house is on Brooklyn Avenue between Eastern Parkway and Union Street. The house is now a museum. The house is called the James E. Davis, I renamed it, the James E. Davis Multicultural Museum of Peace. So we do exhibits, jazz, and different things at the house. Brooklyn Avenue, Eastern Parkway, and Union Street. But when you go through this process, remember the criminal behavior that can rise up from it when you're thinking about this process. Do not exclude that. The violence component that will rise up if people are homeless, have nowhere place to go. It will come out. Geoffrey Davis, I love you. God bless you. Thank you.
Try to be as quick as you possibly can. There's a lot of information that we're trying to disseminate in a very short period of time. One of the things that you've been told that once it gets into the city planning's hands, it really is in the developer's hands. So let's pay attention to their mindset, because that will be what drives them when it comes to making decisions about development in our community. The developer's mindset, not interested in integrating people. That was a comment that was made with the Jim Crow. We know that there's a lot of Jim Crow going on in the city. where they have the back door, the core back door, where they separate, and now you have to go through the back door. But the developer said they don't believe in integrating people. So if they don't believe in integrating people, that means that that's what they're going to create, is separatist institution in Jim Crow. Don't care about displacement. 626 Flatbush went up and people complained, "Hey, you're displacing me." And Hudson said, "Hey, that's not my problem. That's not my problem. That's the community's problem. You deal with that. I'm here to make money." Developers are now requiring credit scores of 725 to 800 credit scores in order for you to get in. So that's how they are actually not allowing you to get into the affordable, because they're adding more criteria. It's no longer just your income, now it becomes your credit score and other things. Okay? So now they're selecting who they're going to put in the affordable, and a lot of the affordable units are not even being occupied. Also, when you have existing affordable housing developments, sometimes what they do, if you have a larger piece of land, they build one building for the luxury, and then they build another for the affordability. But which one goes up first? The luxury goes up. So downtown in the Brooklyn Park, the luxury went up, and once the people got there, they decided they didn't want the affordable. So they've been protesting against the affordable. Right? So they got in because of the affordable, but now they're protesting against it and don't want the affordable. Got petition signed, going to the mayor, talking about, no, we don't need those kind of people. Okay? And the city's position in regards to developers. Let's be clear about what they've been doing. Jim Crow policy was approved by New York City. They didn't protest, they approved it. Oh yes, they did. The politicians' response to downtown, when they're not letting people in, oh, let's train them on how to fill out an application. So you got people making between $40,000 and $100,000, and they now need to be trained on how to fill out an application. Okay? Like, we're stupid, right? You're making that kind of money, but you don't know how to fill out an application. Or you're going to correct your credit scores. Now, credit scores take a long time to correct, and that's just another ploy to stop people from going into these affordable units. And the other thing, when I talked to the borough president, I said, what are you doing about all this? They're writing letters of disapproval. That's as much as they're willing to do. Write a letter, say they don't like this. All that power, and all you're doing is writing letters. Okay. So the next part, and I think I'm sorry that it's not so clear, and Charles Barron talked about this. But if you notice here, that dark spot, those are black people. I mean, I'm sorry, the orange part is black. Right? All that is orange, right? You see all that? That's all black people. That's Brooklyn. Right? That's Brooklyn, that's East New York, that's South Night, that's all people of color. All this right there. The green is Hispanics, the whites are over here, right? Now, 2010, we got lighter. Right? We literally got lighter. Look at it. We got lighter. It's not that clear, but we got lighter all over here. That's because we're leaving. We're being pushed out. The density is now, and he already talked about the numbers, so he already covered that, but I just wanted to show you in the visual. In 10 years, we are getting lighter. That means we are being pushed out of Brooklyn. And when they say, where Brooklyn at? You know, if this keeps up, we won't be staying here. Okay, so let's move on. Now the next person that is up is Rob Robinson. Rob Robinson is an activist. A lot of you guys know him. He is responsible for Take Back the Land. He is one of the people who are on the ground, working, communicating, collaborating, doing this thing. But here comes Rob Robinson.
Try to be brief, and I'm going to speed through a presentation because I realize that folks are pressed for time here and we only have limited time and space. I really want to thank Alicia and the coalition for bringing me here. I met Alicia, I guess earlier in the summer at the Carol Walker exhibit at the Old Domino Sugar Founders. 3 university students from CUNY put together what they call an outdoor presentation. I've been working with the 3 youth students for about 2 or 3 years. And I was invited to a presentation on housing. And I saw Alicia's passion. She asked us a bunch of questions, and we've been joined at the hip ever since. So I really appreciate you inviting me, appreciate your passion, and appreciate what you're doing in your community. I crafted a little bit of a talk on my own theory about housing and some of the struggles we're going on in New York City. But I followed two interesting people, and I want to sort of talk off of some of their comments. First, and I mean absolutely no disrespect to Charles Barron, but I have absolutely no use for electoral politics, right? I believe it's where we have problems in this country, the two-party system. You know, we all hang out our hats on the Democrats. I was in Washington when Obama got inaugurated, standing out there in the bitter cold, doing a live remote for WBAI, watching white and black folks and brown folks all hug, and 6 months later we were like, WTF, what the, you know? So I want to preface this that say, when you play the electoral politics game, there are party leaders, and no disrespect to Geoffrey either, but at a very high level that run the Democratic Party that dictate. So you can sit in that office. What has changed in that political office is the color of the face of the president, but it's still the Democratic Party at the top that is running and controlling the switches, right? So until we realize that, we got enamored, I drank the Kool-Aid, right? But now it's about his legacy. He's got a couple of years left to do something on his way out. I'll just say that to say that up front. Dig a little deeper. Geoffrey mentioned dig a little deeper, and that's something that I've been doing. One of the members you're going to hear from tonight is from academia. And as I started, I came out of homelessness. For those of you who don't know my real story, I'm formerly homeless, spent 2.5 years on the streets of Miami, and 10 months in the New York City homeless shelter. Got out of that and have been traveling around the world doing work, working with groups in Africa, Brazil, in Europe. I work with the European Squatters Collective, the shack dwellers in South Africa, the MST in Brazil, and that's where I get my political orientation from. Watching people who have been engaged in struggle from the time they come out of the womb. That's something we don't have here. We are lacking that here. And we're lacking that here because we've lost a sense of community. You heard Geoffrey talk about community, supporting community. I've been working in Sunset Park, and particularly in a church called St. Jacoby, where there's a real radical pastor by the name of Juan Carlos Ruiz. The one thing Juan Carlos does every time we have a meeting like this is you're going to have community. You sit down there and we break bread together for an hour. I can come with the deepest presentation I want, and I can say it's going to take us 6 hours. He says, make it 7, because we want our community for 1 hour. He is very serious. The only time I've ever been able to negotiate down with is about 15 minutes to 45 minutes. But I think that's something that we strongly need back in this country. As a member of Picture the Homeless back in 2009, we took over a vacant piece of property on 116th Street in Madison Avenue. And that raised awareness about what it means for community to support community. We kept that building for about a week, the first time anybody had done it since probably the 70s, and it raised an awareness down about community supporting community. And those folks started gravitating towards us as Picture the Homeless. And that's why I got my education. You could be a practitioner of direct action and civil disobedience, like I am. I proudly say, take back the land. Our motto was, we find houses that were foreclosed by a bank or a government agency, we break in them, and then we move homeless families in and defend their rights to be in them. But that, we defend their rights with the support of community supporting community. I think that's a big edge. I'm going to close out of this, and I redirected my speech a little bit. Mary Ward was an 84-year-old woman 3 years ago that stood to be evicted from a home that she stood in for 44 years in this city. And I was, quite frankly, not only was I disturbed, I was disturbed at the lack of support that this 84-year-old woman was getting from the community. And I took it upon myself to call out the social justice community in New York and around the country. I said, don't tell me anything about you being a community organizer, an activist, a community member, if you're not in front of Mary Ward's house when that marshal comes the next morning. That turned out 300 people in front of Mary Ward's house. Mary ended up staying in that house. She eventually lost it because she wouldn't listen to the people supporting her. But Mary stood in that house 1 year after the marshals came to evict her. And that's a model of community support and community. I learned that from Mark Nason, a professor at Fordham University. He's in charge of the African American Studies Department. He wrote a book on communism in Harlem in the 30s. Much like Charles Barron, I'm also a socialist. I believe in that. And I'm an anti-capitalist. I'll say that right up front. I do a lot of study of Marxist theory right now, working with people like David Harvey and other folks, and developing a theory. But he told me about times in Harlem. He said, I want you to read this book, Rob, because when somebody got evicted in Harlem in the 30s, the community came right back to that house, kicked down the door, moved the furniture back in, and stood in defiance in front of that house. That's what we need to do to protect our community. But we're going to close out. With some quick points. Sometimes in this, we get offended at education. At the word education, say people are talking down to me, they're being condescending. In the 6-7 years since I've come out of homelessness, I've learned probably more than I've ever learned in my life. That's because the community has gravitated towards me, nurtured me, and supported me. I'm working with a professor right now who's got, hey, stand here, Ron, he's got to be reading a book a week. I'm free. I've never read at that speed in my life, you know, about the history of struggle in this country, race and class. It is a history in this country. It is a 300-year history that has to be unpacked. So don't let any developer or anybody come to you and say, it's okay, we changed, Jim Crow doesn't exist anymore. 300 years of shit doesn't just go away. It doesn't go away. It has to be opened up, understood, talked about. It is difficult, but those conversations have to happen. All right? So we need to create the space, not tension. We need to create space. White, black, brown, any color. Come into a room and have the conversation. Put our issues on the table, talk about it. That's the only way we're going to resolve it. So at that point, I'm going to back out and talk because I realize there's a lot of time. I'll hang around a little bit late to answer questions, but I want to let the rest of the program go.
One of the things that we need to look at is actually luxury equal displacement. And we wanted to just look at the development that's been currently happening here in Crown Heights. We looked at new residential building permits are up over 600%. We ranking 13. We're ranking 13. In 2000 we were 55. In 2013 we're 13. Currently, there are 15 luxury developments in our community. The primary reason for the increase is the New York City tax abatement, 421A, to create affordable housing. This is done through our council person. And the abatement is not available on Park Slopes or Windsor Terrace. Want to know why? Okay. An increase in development is being fueled by our politicians. Do not get this wrong. I was about to say they've consciously targeted this community, and they consciously have set in place motives and methods to sit there and gentrify this community. And our money is a part of this. Okay. As a result, rents are almost up $1,000 or more. You know this. I don't have to tell you that. Right? Bedroom, 2010. $1,200 to $1,500, 2014, $2,700 to $3,500. That's what you're getting for bedrooms now, for 2 bedrooms. And the number one cause of stabilized apartments being destabilized, rent increases. That's right. That's how we're losing our affordable community with rent increases. Now there are various ways of displacement. The ceiling cap on rent stabilization currently is $2,500. So landlords know that. So they are doing everything in their power to get to that ceiling. Preferential leases is one of the most common ways. It's a scam that they sit there. You come in, let's say the rent is $1,500. They give you to you for $1,400. And it's called a preferential lease. The year's up. Then it goes to $1,600 because they have a 20% increase that they can charge. And you can't afford it, so you move. So now they charge another 20% because you just vacated the apartment. So now they add another 20%. And they do this over and over, 4 or 5 years, the apartment is destabilized. Everybody in this community is offering preferential leases now. Almost everybody is offering preferential leases. The MCI major capital improvements. Oh, right, we know that, right?
Yes.
Okay, all of a sudden, they want to improve your space. So they want to add another 10%, 20% based upon it. A lot of times, the existing violations, which is not supposed to be the case, but they fix the existing violations, call it MCI, add it to your rent, then you have an increase, and then again, that's another way of getting it up to that $2,500. Then there's the 75% vacancy rate, right? You get 75% of your building become vacant, the rest gets destabilized. Everybody has to go out. They can redo the whole building. So be careful, if you're in a building and they're starting to empty out and that's not filling in, watch out for that 75%. Okay? And then there's a 2-year vacancy mixed-use property scam. If on the bottom, this is what you told me the last time. On the bottom, if it's retail, on the top, if they leave it empty for 2 years, the whole building gets destabilized. This is how they are moving you out with the rent stabilization laws. And guess who's responsible for those rent stabilization laws? That's right, your politicians, your state senators, and your assembly people. Okay? Okay? While they tell you to go to court and get a lawyer, you need to be going to their office and getting arrested. Okay? But they're the ones who are pushing you out. Every time the rent stabilization laws come up for renewal, they knock another peg off. You get another one. There it goes. There it goes. You'll watch it. It's been decreasing for the last 15 years. Those rent stabilization laws. Every time they come up for renewal, there's another peg that gets put off. The other one, buyouts. Be careful, buyouts, people. Yeah. Be careful. Because first you're going to get a tax on. It's a 50. You're going to get, all of a sudden you get $50,000. But guess what? You're going to have to pay taxes on that. Hello. You ain't a tax genius. They're taking half of that.
That's
right
right.
off the top.
That's right.
Then if you are on any kind of subsidies or Section 8, you're not going to qualify.
That's right.
Because your income just went up. You got rich. So you're going to now be out of Section 8. And if you're out of Section 8, Section 8 ain't putting you back in.
That's right.
So be careful about this. You know, you think you get $100,000 sitting in front of you, but by the time it's all over, you just displaced a little bit of money in your pocket. And where you going? Where you going? Okay? Harassment, be in the courts. Yes, they're taking you to court for being 5 days late. They're not taking your rent. So they're taking you to court. They're not doing your repairs. And of course, they're creating fear. Telling you if you don't be good, if you don't do this, we're gonna get you. And now the grand sweep is rezoning. That's the masterpiece. This is all subtle stuff. This is the grand sweep. Let's rezone. Let's take an entire community and rezone it, and then we just move them out like that. Look at downtown. Look at downtown. Don't get it twisted. They do it. Okay. So now we're into the rezone. Finally, right? The next one. Oh wait.
Going backwards.
I'm going backwards. No, I'm going backwards. Okay, one more. Professor, I was an He's a wonderful resource. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for inviting me. I just gave Charles Barron's favor. I am really proud to be on the same program with him because Charles has been on the same side of the barricades. And he's taken principled positions on very sensitive, difficult issues. And I try to do the same thing. And there are very few elected officials who do that. I mean, we stood on the same side against Walmart and against Atlantic Yards, the biggest development project in Brooklyn. And, you know, Charles Barron and Tony Avello were the only two politicians who stood up and said, no, this is a scam. So, I'm going to talk about rezoning. That's my specialty. And the rezoning is handled by the Department of City Planning. Now, the Department of City Planning really ought to be renamed the Department of Real Estate Development. Because they really have one motivation, which is, it's actually stated by the mayors. All the mayors say, we are going to expand the opportunities for residential development. We want to increase the density. And how are they going to do that? Well, zoning limits the density in areas that big developers want. So they decide to go in and we're going to upzone, which means we're going to create the potential for developers to come in. They used to be able to do under the old zoning 2 or 3 stories or 2-family houses. Now they can do 18, 20, 40 stories thanks to the rezoning. What does rezoning do? It increases the value of the land overnight. When the city council approves that zoning, that rezoning, the next day, the value of that land can increase 10, 20, 30 times. Who benefits? The landowner. And by the time the rezoning takes place, the big company, real estate developers, have already moved in and they bought the land, or they bought options on the land. And so, how do they sell it to you? Well, they're very clever at this. They send out my former urban planning students who are all very sincere and nice and eager and culturally diverse, racially diverse. I mean, they come out and they want to listen to you. They want to listen to you because they care about your community, right? And you say, oh no, listen, maybe it's okay in this place, but not over there. Well, they've got a package for you too. They're going to protect certain parts of your neighborhood. They're going to protect areas that have homeowners, 1 and 2 family homes maybe. Why? Well, first of all, the big developers don't care about going into those lots because they know they're going to face a big fight and they're going to have to acquire not just 10 lots. They're going to have to acquire thousands of lots in order to get a big enough space to build. So they come up with what they sell as a balanced scheme. We're going to upzone, usually on the wide avenues, to get higher density. And they even have a whole rationale for it called transit-oriented development. That means that it's near a subway stop. Meantime, your transit service still sucks. They're not going to improve your transit service. The platforms are still crowded, and the service is still lousy. So, but it's transit-oriented development. It's supposed to be good for the environment. Well, it's good because it makes developers wealthy. And then they're going to balance it with a down zoning to protect certain parts of the area. And I have this paper, which I think is being handed out, that has 4 zoning scams. And they use all of these scams in selling the zoning scams. The first is the affordable housing scam that Charles Barron spoke to. And it's not just that, and there's a very subtle argument here in selling affordable housing. And the argument is usually, it's not just affordable to who, that the levels of affordability are manipulated in a way so it's not going to be affordable to anybody. But they'll come and they'll tell you the only way you can get affordable housing is by taking your zoning. Charles Barron mentioned a project that has 100% affordable housing. You don't need a rezoning to get that. You need smart, community-based developers who know where the subsidies are. The reality is, affordable housing requires subsidies. Federal, state, and city subsidies, and they're out there. But when you do it through zoning, you have to take that majority luxury housing as a given. So they may say 20% affordable. And now, under de Blasio, it's going to increase to maybe 30%. That's going to be required. Or maybe 40% even. But that means that 60% is going to be luxury. And that 60% luxury housing is going to drive up rents and land prices in the surrounding blocks. And it's going to displace more affordable housing than it actually creates. So it's not benefiting the neighborhood unless it's 100% affordable and affordable to people living in the neighborhood. And you can do that. But, and you know, the developers aren't with the inclusionary zoning, when they're providing 20 or 30% affordable housing, they're not paying for it. It's being paid for through public subsidies. They're actually making money on it. Related Corporation, one of the biggest development corporations in New York City, their biggest profit center is affordable housing. So the second scam that you can expect is the building height scam. Why? Because everybody says, oh, we don't want, this is a neighborhood of 2, 3, 4-story buildings. We have some apartment units, maybe 6 stories. We don't want skyscrapers. We don't want high-rises. And I said, don't vary. We're going to rezone so that there's a building height limit. Right now, you don't have any building height limits. This is what they'll tell you. It's true, but you don't need the building height limit because it's being zoned for 2- and 3-story buildings. You use up all the floor area that you can build in 2 and 3 stories. You can't possibly go above 3 stories. So even if you don't have an official height limit, there is a height limit, a de facto height limit. So then what they'll say is, we're going to limit the height to 6 stories. Oh, okay, maybe we'll accept 6 stories. But what they don't tell you is that that 6 stories is at the street line. Okay? So it'll be 6 stories, but then they'll set back a little bit, and then it can go up to 18 stories.
That's right. There it is. Yep.
It just got scammed.
That's right. There it is. That's the scam, people. That's the scam. Hey, not for me.
The other 2 scams you may not have here, there may be blocks that have industry, small businesses, and they dreamed up a new zone that's called the mixed-use zone. And they said they're going to sell this like we're going to protect industry. Because now you can have a zone, you can have both industry and residential. Well, the residential developers love those zones. Why? Because if you own property and you have the choice of renting to an industry or renting to a residential landlord, and you're getting 10 times the amount for the residential, what are you going to do? You're going to build a residential building. You're not going to rent to industrial. What happened to Williamsburg? They pulled a scam on the biggest mixed-use neighborhood in New York City. Williamsburg was an industrial, working-class neighborhood. They expelled all the jobs and the working class, and it's now a luxury on the corner. and it's mixed-use zone. It's a mixed-use zone. And then the waterfront access scam, I guess you don't have waterfront here. But that's how they sell luxury housing on the waterfront. They did it in Williamsburg and Greenpoint. So there's a racial narrative here too, that they like to convince themselves that we're creating integrated communities. Right now, the city, New York City, is one of the most racially segregated cities in the country. In the world. They don't seem to lose too much sleep about it, but when they do a rezoning, they say, now we're going to integrate Black communities, Latino communities, and the way you do that is by bringing in new population that is going to have affordable housing, and it will be integrated. Now, they're not building this new high-density housing in white neighborhoods. They're not integrating white neighborhoods. So that's it. Don't believe a word they say. Question everything. And the answer, and I'll just end with this, I think, is we have to do our own plan. And there is a long history of community planning from the grassroots in New York City. And there have been many good plans, alternative plans, and they don't always get implemented. But it's a way for people to express that we have an alternative vision for the future of our community. This is what we want. This is what you tell the city officials. And you take the initiative so that you have your plan up front. And when they come with a rezoning, you say, this is what we want.
Thank you. I just wanted to show you this map. This is Parkway Park. This is around the perimeter. This is Park Slope. This is Windsor Terrace. If you notice, they have this E behind the lettering. That means that this is all down zone area. And if you notice over here, right here, we have RAs. We're not down zone. Okay, so we're not down zone. So what they want to do is they want to actually increase our density on Empire and possibly downzone a few places here and do that with a switch off. You know, we're going to downzone or protect this area, but we need to get this area upside. So that's the scam that they're using right now on us. One of the things I thought it was very important for us to know is how did we get here? How did we get here? How are you all in this room fighting for a resolution that got passed by Community Board 9? It happened by one person. Okay? One person, and her name is Pearl Miles. Okay? She went to, they had a forum at the Book and Botanical Garden on March 17th, where they were discussing the whole rezoning. You know, the city planners were there with their maps and their diagrams and their intellectual stuff. And people kind of just talked and discussed. She came away from that and decided to create a resolution to be passed by Community Board 9. One person goes to one meeting, comes back and decides that one of the things that people were talking about, even though nobody can remember this, at the meeting was an increased residential and retail density along transit and commercial corridors, allow contextual mixed-use development along commercial corridors, including Empire Boulevard. Right? She claimed that this is what the people wanted. It did not come from any committee. There was no discussion with the community. It got presented on March 25th, and it got passed. Okay? People at the Community Board 9 complained. I said, wait a minute, how are you just gonna do this? We have to learn more about this. We don't know what this means. That language is technical, we don't understand. They said they didn't care, they need to rush it through. Okay, this was very important. The developers are all over us. You know, we gotta protect ourselves. So I asked you one question. How does a city employee that does not live in this community, since it dictates to us what happens on your land? That's what I want to know.
That's right.
And that's what you need to know.
That's right.
Okay, and that's the question that you need to ask. Oh, I'm sorry. Every time I hear that, I get upset.
I hear you.
Okay? So now we're fighting that resolution. Because that's the resolution that's sitting inside of city planning that they want to move forward with.
We must block it.
That's right. So the next name again, please. Now, so let's look at Community Board 9. Wait a minute. Because the fight is at Community Board 9. So let's look at Community Board 9 and see what's been happening while we've been sleeping. Because we've been sleeping, people. Okay? The Community Board 9 had a takeover. Yes. There were 18 new board members put on Community Board 9. The average for all the other boards was 6 members. That's right, 18 out of 25. Okay? 84% of the executive board was changed. Community Board 9. All the other ones, 0.07%. Okay? Who put those people there? No. Oh no! Oh no! Who does it? Who placed them? That's right. Eric Adams. He replaced 72% of the allowable board. Okay? And Lori Combo, who's supposed to also put people in, I was told by her staff that it was subject to approval by Eric Adams.
Yes.
Okay? So now you have a board that is being controlled by your borough president.
Is this a present or president?
The present board. This is what happened. They just changed it, and this is 18 new board members. Okay? This just happened. So are we? So here we have the largest borough in New York City. If we were not a borough, and if we were a city, we would be the 5th largest city in America. That's how big we are. 18 board members. You think it's a coincidence that one has that kind of change, and the rest have that? Why do you think that is? Because of empire, people, wake up! Empire is money! Money for the developers. And they knew that the fight was going to be at the community level if someone was smart enough to catch them. And guess what? We're fighting at Community Board 9. And we got to be there on the 23rd. Okay, ready? Now, what we have is a young man who has been instrumental for us when it comes to city planning. He is a student, he is dedicated, he is the one who created all of those pictures that you've been seeing and getting all upset about. Okay. And he's going to talk about the type of development that could happen if this resolution is allowed to pass through and get into the city planning's hands. He's going to tell you what type of development they could possibly create.
All right, let me know if you can't hear me, but I typically... Can't hear you. Can't hear me? Can you hear me? Great. So, hi, I'm Daniel, and I actually think that I'm going to be very brief, and I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to be very...
There's no mic.
No, Mike, if we can keep the side conversations down, you might be able to hear a few.
You don't have a voice like you.
Yeah, exactly.
What? Can you hear me over there?
Yeah.
Barely.
Barely. Come closer.
Very bad.
Maybe I can have someone say what I'm saying. But I'm actually going to be very brief, and I'm going to be very specific about exactly what's at stake on Empire Boulevard. And one of the things that I've been doing for the past few months is actually looking at all of the properties in the district and also looking at the potential that we have to rezone the district. On the table, we've heard from Pearl Myers that there could potentially be this particular district, an R7-1, that is going to basically change what is now a commercial low-density district. And what this could mean, and to beat the developer, you have to think like the developer. You have to get inside their heads, and the developer is only interested in looking at a tax lot, and they see it as a puzzle. They see a property, and they want to maximize it. And what that means is they want to get the biggest building possible on the lot, with the most square footage, so they can rent it out to the highest number of people. And they want to get the most density in there, so that they can put the most number of luxury units in there, even if there is affordability. So we look at it, I looked at just one of the properties that's all along Empire Boulevard. I looked at 183 Empire. Right now, there's a one-story commercial property on the district, on the tax lot. And basically what we have is, if we rezone this, if we allow the residential rezoning to occur, we are looking at, without any bonuses, without any affordability, we're looking at a maximized building of 14 stories already. We're looking at this huge building. I mean, the square footage of this is about 75,000 square feet of built space. So that's just one property, and I've done this. I actually have, I mean, you guys can take a look at it, but I have all of the properties in the proposed rezoning district. We looked at each one of them and saw exactly how much space we're talking here. We're talking almost 2 million square feet of built space. That's what the potential for, if you allow this to happen, that's the issue at hand here. There's 2 million square feet of built space. I mean, I did all of these diagrams there. Alicia kind of chastises me because she wants me to speak a little more clearly about what this is. Zoning, I tell you, is probably the most complex thing that the city has, and it's deliberately complex to confuse community members like you. They do not want you to be able to penetrate the literature of it, because that gives you the power. So basically, if we're looking at this district, we have two potentials. So we have, I'm going to get close to we actually have, in this particular zone, you can either have a tall building occupying a smaller portion of the site, or a wider building occupying shorter building occupying a larger portion of the site. That's what we have here. Because zoning restricts the amount of built space that you can have. So basically, we're looking at this. The developer, when they look at this property, they're going to say, which one of these options is going to make you the most money, right? So there's a type of zoning that is called quality housing, which quality housing tries to make a shorter building, tries to have, if you look here, a building that is actually thicker on the street level, so you can have retail, you can have this building actually integrated into the community. So if we go back, why would we want this building that's occupying a smaller portion of the site that goes way up? And I have one address for you, 626 Flatbush, because of the view of the park. Because the taller building will give you the view of the park, and it'll make the developer more money. So they don't care about having integrated zoning lots. They care about making the tallest building possible, so they can give the people that would be living on Empire Boulevard view of the park. Because that makes them more money.
Less than me.
So now, I told you that 14-story building, was before bonuses. So what is the bonus? Well, as we've said before, and I'm sure you know, when you have affordable housing added into a property, you're allowed to actually build bigger than what you were allowed to in the zoning initiative before that. So before we have this, before we applied a bonus to this, we've got 14 stories. After we apply the affordable housing bonus, this building can go up to 19 or more stories. We're talking about along the entirety of the entire building. This is exactly what is at stake. Yes.
What floor area ratio are you assuming?
So this is an, I mean, if you want me to be specific, this is an R7. Maximum floor area ratio for R7 is 3.44. It varies based on the district, but in inclusionary housing, we can go up in that district to 4.6.
Oh, we're not taking questions, we're not taking questions.
I'm sorry, but.
Yeah, but we're not taking questions, so we have to move it on.
Textual, that's not textual, that's there.
You can sit there and you can ask questions after, okay, we're going to do Q&A after.
Yeah, it's not contextual, but that's the point. Because what Alicia was saying earlier, when she was talking about the downzone in Park Slope and Windsor Terrace, where they have that nice little alphabetic letter after the district, that is the contextual district. That means that the buildings that you build on that property are going to be respecting the context around the property. But when we have just a plain R, what we hope, if we have just an R7 no lettering, we have essentially the developer decides what they're considered there. The context does not matter. So that's key.
Okay, great, thanks. Tom Angotti said. And the question was, well, what do we want? And of course, we have a plan. I mean, come on, this is our community. And so we sat down and we devised a plan. Now, this is just the beginning of the plan. It's an idea. But we also presented this idea to city planning in an email. And we gave them all the particulars of this idea. And Deb is here to talk about that plan. She is an urban planner. She's a community resident. She's been living on Sterling Street for 50 years.
No, I've been living in the neighborhood
For 50 years, but living in the
25
neighborhood.
months ago.
Right. And she's now going to present our plan.
Hey, good evening, neighbors. When I got a master's in urban affairs 20 years ago, let me tell you, I never thought that I would be using you to defend my career. So I'm very thankful to all of you for coming out tonight, and I'm very honored that Alicia asked me to present our vision. The first thing I'd like to start with is the name, Empire Boulevard. And empire is derived from the Latin word imperium, meaning power and authority. One of the modern definitions is that empires are typically formed from separate components, ethnic, cultural, religiously diverse sectors that come together, like our community, and become more powerful in that unity. A boulevard is a wide, multi-lane thoroughfare, usually designed for slow travel, with parking lanes, bicycle and pedestrian usage, and often with an above-average quality landscaping and scenery. I think we can all agree that in its present state, Empire Boulevard does not live up to its But we would like it to, and we deserve for it to. Because the area of Empire Boulevard that we are discussing is one block from Prospect Park and the Botanic Gardens, our vision is for it to be physically transformed to be in uniformity with Prospect Park and the Botanic Gardens. Tree-lined, open, airy, and inviting to the entire community. We do not want large, luxury residential buildings. They are not open, airy, and definitely are not inviting to the entire community. We definitely do not want or need any more storage units. So what do we want? We would like to see a vibrant, low-rise, one-story commercial corridor that empowers local entrepreneurs and employs and serves local residents. We would like, we need, and we deserve a safe, walking, friendly shopping district that serves as a lovely community gathering place with vibrant ethnic restaurants, sidewalk cafes, and boutiques. 45-degree angle parking would provide more parking spaces for cars. We would also like above average quality landscaping and scenery that flows from Prospect Park and the Botanic Gardens. Trees, benches, and decorative street lamps that would enhance the beauty and illuminate this Empire Boulevard. So we are asking for a new resolution when we pass out what we would like. We would like the language to be clear. We want precise measurements for the sidewalks that promote an active streetscape and attractive environment. We want ground floor transparency requirements that would enhance the pedestrian experience and store size restrictions that encourage a vibrant and diverse retail character. This is MTOPP's vision for the physical transformation. We believe it will be beneficial to and what we feel all our community residents deserve. Thank you.
So, the next question that was on the table is why here? Why here? We're the densest populated area in Brooklyn. We have over 200,000 people in our community, and 93.3% of that live a quarter of a mile from the park. That's our density. The lightness is less density. If you notice, this is the circle, this is us. Look all the way over here, look over here. Not a lot of density. Right here in this corridor, we are the densest. So we're going to take the densest populated area and then take this little strip and make it even denser with the proposal. So the question is why? Well, why? Who are the biggest losers and who are the biggest winners? The developers are the biggest winners. Because when they come in, they are going to develop high, they're going to sell, and then they're going to move on. Okay? The current landowners are Empire. On Empire. Remember, that's why those lots are vacant. Because developers don't want tenants. The money is more valuable when the land is vacant. It's not all of a sudden, a year ago, we had a vibrant corridor with all the businesses, and now all of a sudden they're all empty. Come on now, wake up here. This was in effect way before Miles put that resolution in. They've been emptying out those, and the landowners are the ones, the landowners are the ones who are going to be benefiting from that. Because their land value, as you've been told, will be 1 million, 10 million all of a sudden, because now the developers want it. Our politicians will benefit, of course, because they're going to get those nice contributions. We're going to eliminate our competition, have nobody run against us, and whatever else they're getting behind closed doors and under those tables. And of course our local leaders, those people who are representing us at Community Board 9, standing up for our rights. They got those real estate deals going on. Check their records. They're the construction company. They got architects in the family. The lawyer firms. Oh, and employment. You know, people getting employed. Money's flowing all in this community, child. I seen it. I know. Okay. The biggest loser. People of color. By the time they're finished, almost 100,000 schools in this place. That's serious. That's half our population. Wow. Okay? People from the Caribbean are the most vulnerable. Why? Because they're the ones who don't fight back. They don't want to go to court. They don't want to be up in the front. They don't want to, landlords tell them to be they don't get to eat. 50% of our population is Caribbean. Okay? We have the largest Caribbean population in the country. And we're about to get this place. okay? Mothers with children, the poorest group,
Yes.
the poorest group. Again, dangerous place. Homes, Lord, the bank, okay? The fault lines. When they come on that little square area and they are gonna be all over Empire, okay? They're all gonna be pushing each other to be the first ones up. We will get pounded on. Do you understand? Pounded. Our houses will shake for 5, 10 years. We're gonna get cracks and poor Sullivan place. Complete shadows all day long. 12 hours of shadows, no sun. I feel for you guys, because I love the sun. I feel for you. And then the community. Because those people are going to come in and you're going to get crowded and more. And the trains. And you put another 10,000 people who are trying to get to work on the queue lines. You're going to wait to get down the steps, okay? Okay? And you heard what they said. They don't provide anything extra. They're not giving you more schools. They're not going to provide that. They're just going to come and build and move on. Scams and the strategy. So these are the scams that they're going to do. You heard some of them. Oh, let's just study residential on Empire. Let's just put it through the planning stage. Let's just study it and see if it's possible. Now, why would you see something that's possible if you don't want it? It's like going to the store. You go to the store to buy a pair of shoes, but all you're doing is trying on sneakers. Well, what you want to buy? You want to buy sneakers, right? Okay, so why are we studying residential if that's not what we want? Oh, let city planning make that decision. That means let the developers make that decision. Remove Empire off the rezoning request. Oh, this is another one. And don't you dare let them do it. Because what they're saying is, move it off, we'll come back to it later. Don't you dare downzone that neighborhood. We're going to come back when we're stronger. Okay? Okay? Don't let them do it. The community will have a say during the rezoning process. So if they're not listening to you now, you think they're going to listen to you then? Okay. The local politicians can guarantee the 6-story limit. Well, we already been told, 15 minutes. We already been told that that's not possible. Eric Adams has no veto power in the rezoning process. He's an advisory board person. You heard it? Don't believe he can sit there and do 6 stories and keep it, because he can't. He doesn't have that kind of power. Know who has power. Your council person. And who's your council person? Who's your council person? Who's your council person? So you know there's no power there. Because you know he is an wait, they're taping me, they taping me. I gotta be careful. But we know that is absolutely not a road that we can travel down because we don't have any power in the rezoning process. Our council person is absolutely, unequivocally incompetent. Eugene Matthew. He was the bonus. They didn't even have to pay him. Okay, he was the developer's bonus. He did not even get paid. But that's my son. And then they're going to tell you, let's define the parameters of the study first. So let me explain what that is. Right now, when we went to city planning, we shut them down. We told them we did not want them to move forward with this application until they went back to rezone. And they said, oh, well, let's just define the parameters. So what they want to do is just keep going on with the process. You tell them no. You tell them no. We stop this process right here, right now. You change that resolution. We don't move forward. Okay? Put it in the hands of the community board, ULA committee. Oh, go to the ULA committee! It didn't even come from the ULA committee. It didn't even go to the planning committee. So now you want us to go to the ULA committee? Yeah, right. Okay, that's why we're going to be on 23rd. Okay? And, now, unfortunately, I had a great tape. You know, one of those drama tapes? But we didn't have speakers. So I can't get you to listen to the tape. So I'll just interpret what the tape said. Okay. The tape was of Jesse Hamilton coming to MTOPP meeting and telling us the real deal. And in this tape, I sent it around to everybody who's on my contact list. You can find it on MTOPP as soon as you click on MTOPP. And basically what he said you were in a scam. He said you were in a bait and switch scenario. They're gonna bait you with the 6 and they're gonna turn it into 20. And he said it's basic economics. Because of the price of the land and how much it's gonna cost, they're gonna tell you that in order for you to do affordable, you have to go up. He said that that's the truth. And that was that. So what is our current political power? Our politicians have done 2 things. They've either indicated support or incompetence, or they avoid it. Our Congressman Eugene Matthew, with lack of power, he's the one that's why we have the 421A tax rates. Okay? Our state senator-elect Jesse Hamilton. Oh, by the way, Jesse Hamilton stood up in public and said he was for those 6 stories. Jesse Hamilton, our state-elected senator, stood up in public and said he was supporting the 6-story bait scenario.
Okay.
That's right. After he came to MTOPP and said that that was a scam, said that he was that it was a turncoat, publicly came out and said that he was supporting it. That's our politicians in this community. That's our politicians in this community. And I wish I had some speakers. God, I wish I had some speakers. Okay? That's the state of our politicians. They're dirty, they're corrupt, and they're unloyal to us. They have no loyalty to us. They come and tell us something and know that we're about to get screwed. And won't do anything about it. In his white, pretty suit. Now that man wears some gorgeous suits. Assemblyman Kareem Kamara. Okay. Bring it. He said he was going to come back and talk to us, never came back. Avoidance. They avoid you now. Okay? World president. Well,
Oh my God.
you know, Eric, so let's get some parameters around Eric Adams. Eric Adams was our state senator when 626 Flatbush got funded with state money.
Yes.
Okay? We got nothing from that deal. Nothing. Not one thing. Okay? And if it happened once, it will happen again.
That's right.
Okay? Yep. Once, happen again. And Yvette Clark, I haven't even heard from her.
Oh,
I haven't seen her. Don't know where she's going. I don't even know if she's still here. I don't know if she's even in the office. Okay? She didn't come to our block party this time. Okay. Why no residential on Empire Boulevard? Displacement. Okay? Affordability scams. No services. Shadows. Property damage. Environmental consequences. Give an inch, take a mile. You give them an inch, they'll take 25 stories. Lack of political power. We don't have power to negotiate. Understand what our power is. It is here, only here. Our politicians are not supporting us, and they will not fight for us.
That's right.
Visual integrity. I don't want to see 25 stories on the perimeter of Parkway Park. I'm sorry, I don't want it. I don't want it in the garden. I don't want to go into the park. And that's why I started this, because I saw they were doing that to 626. And I don't want it to happen in Empire Boulevard. We will not be the side of the park that has monstrosities. We destroy our natural habitat. Our park is okay, these are the things that we're going to do. Okay, what we need to start doing.
Yeah.
We need to start doing something. Lawsuits.
Yeah.
Okay?
You got that?
We need to maintain some current. If Community Board 9 wants to maintain that current resolution, we're going to sue their ass.
That's right. That's right.
But it won't be for long.
That's right.
City planning. You know, that continued pattern of upzoning and downzoning, that needs to be a class action lawsuit.
That's it.
Okay? Why is it that black communities are upzoning and white middle class communities are downzoning? That's a lawsuit. And the city of New York, you know what they threatened with us when we went city planning? If we don't upzone, they're not gonna give us no services. A lawsuit. Let city planning know. If they think they're gonna drop us and leave us out to hang and not gonna rezone us, let them know. That ain't gonna happen here.
That's right. That's right.
So here's our hiring strategies. Okay, we can get some pro se attorneys. Yeah, we got some non-profit organizations, but we also have to be smart. We have to hire experienced attorneys as consultants, and that's going to take some time. Okay, you have to have experienced consultants attorneys.
Yes.
Let the pro se attorneys do all the legwork, do all the filing, and do all that, but you get yourself some good experienced attorneys. Now that's going to cost some money. So that's collectively we got to come together and think about it. Okay?
Right.
Okay, so this is me. You don't know me. I live on Sterling. I used to be a kindergarten teacher. I love children, they're my heart. But I left, I got a degree in developmental psychology, and then I started to become a therapist. Working with people who have traumas, childhood traumas. I specialize in childhood traumas. What is about to happen to us, to our community, to our children, the voiceless, right? Those are our children, that's our future. If you want to destroy a race, what do you go after? That's right. Displacement does that. Why? Because the mothers have to take care of those children, and they're under tremendous stress. Because all of a sudden they don't know where they have to live, where they're going to live. Okay? That puts stress on them, that puts stresses on the children. When they get displaced and they get into shelters, they even get more traumatized. Yes. Right? Because now they become victims of sex abuse. Yes. Physical abuse, emotional abuse. So they automatically hamper and destroy a child's emotional, psychological well-being, destroying your race. Okay? Okay? Let's be careful here. They know this. If I know this, they know this. That is perfect. They're perfect thinking about doing that, destroying this race. Now, there's a lot of negative forces in our community. Greed. Oh, I seen it, girl. I seen it, guy. Greed. Oh, what can I get out of this? The developers in here. Oh, let me get a job. Let me get some money. Selfishness. I don't care what happens to my neighbor, as long as it don't happen to me. Powerlessness. There's nothing we can do. You know, the developers, their own household, all the mayors, well, it happened to me. I don't care if it happened to you. Heard that one. And separatists. It's us against them. That's right. Also, white people over there. Also, black people over there. Separate. Yes. Separate. But there's ways in which you can combat that. First, you remember
But
If you pick one person, and you pick one person, and you pick one person, then we're all united. Okay? Yes, I live across the street. Feel for me that I'm going to have a 25-story building in my backyard. Feel for me, people. Feel for my children who won't have a place to live 20 years from now. Feel for us. Okay? And then the concept of we. Not I, not you, but we. Because that's what community is. It's we.
that's right.
We cannot be separate. We're all one. Understand that and live that. Thank you. The thank you wasn't for me. The thank you was for these people right here, right here. Traveling all through the community, talking. These are the people that have been loving you and taking care of you and making sure that you get educated. So the next time you see a person in green, say thank you. Because they're looking out for you. Okay? Now what can you do? Because we're not finished yet. Because you need to start doing something. Okay? The first thing you do, buy a t-shirt.
Before you go.
Buy a t-shirt. It's $20. It's a fundraiser. Come and support us. Okay? Buy a t-shirt. And wear that t-shirt on 23rd. Say it again. The 23rd. That's right. Sign our letter. Sign our petition. Please sign our letters and our petitions. Come to Community Board 9. We got a strategy meeting on Monday. Okay? Come to our meeting. Get involved. This is your community. Okay? Join our fundraising committee. We have to hire lawyers. We got a fundraising committee. Come and join us. Figure out how we're going to get these lawyers into this community. Because we have some lawsuits. Because if you think that they're not going to do everything that they can to get that fire up zone, think again. We need to have some lawyers. Wear a green t-shirt on 23rd. Wear a green t-shirt. Wear a green t-shirt. $20, get a t-shirt. We got all sizes from 3X to small. Okay? And follow us on MTOPP. Find MTOPP on Facebook. And you gotta spread the awareness because the media is not covering this. The media is not covering this. They're trying to keep this hush up. So please, spread the awareness. Go on Facebook, let people know what's going on. And now let's thank you. Thank you. Okay, what? But please don't come up late. Obviously, our time is up, but if you wanted to come and talk to somebody,
Okay.